I welcome you all to this salon. To one of our residents, a vote of thanks is due, Monsieur de Sade, who wrote and has produced this play for your delectation, and for our patient's rehabilitation. We ask your kindly indulgence for a cast never on stage before coming to the charlatan. But each inmate, I can assure you, will pull his own weight. We're modern, enlightened, and we don't agree with locking up patients. We prefer therapy through education and especially art, so that our hospital might play its part in keeping with, according to the lights, the Declaration of Human Rights. I agree with our author, Monsieur de Sade, that his play, set in our converted nay, won't be marred by all the instruments of mental and physical hygiene. Quite on the contrary, they set the scene. For in Monsieur de Sade's play, he strived to show us how Jean-Paul Marat died, and how he waited in his bath before Charlotte Corday came knocking at his door.
Distinguished visitors, let us go back to the France of 15 years ago. Recall the greatest shock of modern times, those golden victories, those scarlet crimes, the force which shattered every institution, that global earthquake, the French Revolution. None of us knew a revolutionary more passionate than Marat, but was he the people's friend or freedom's enemy? A writer of books with hope on every page, or the most vicious butcher of his age? Marat the good or bad? The choice is hard. Let us hear Marat debating with de Sade, two champions wrestling with each other's views. How do we judge the winner? You must choose. Here is Marat, back from the dead. He wears a bandage around his head. His flesh burns, it is yellow as cheese, because disfigured by a skin disease. And only water, cooling every limb, prevents his fever from consuming him. To act this most important role we chose, a lucky paranoic, one of those who've made unprecedented strides since we introduced them to hydrotherapy. This one was with him to the very end, Simone Evrard, his dogged lady friend. Here's Charlotte Corday awaiting her entry, a country girl, her family landed gentry. Unfortunately, the girl who plays the role here has sleeping sickness, also melancholia. Our hope must be for this afflicted soul that she does not forget her role. Her friend is Monsieur Ducarret. You note his upper-class toupee. This actor's good, though subject to attacks. One of our brightest sexual maniacs. Jailed for taking a radical view of anything you can name, the former priest Jacques Roux, ally of Marat's revolution. But unfortunately, the censors cut most of his rabble-rousing theme. Our moral guardians found it too extreme.
Liberty!
And now, our vocalists. Cuckoo-cuckoo, pop-pop, coco, and on the streets no longer, Rossignol. Now, meet this gentleman from high society, who, under the lurid star of notoriety, came to live with us just 5 years ago. It's to his genius that we owe this show. The former Marquis, Monsieur de Sade, whose books were banned, his essays barred, while he's been persecuted and reviled, thrown into jail, and for some years exiled. The introduction's over. Now the play of Jean-Paul Marat can get underway. Tonight, the date, the 13th of July, 1808. And on this night, our cast intend, showing how 15 years ago, night without end, fell on that man, that invalid, and you are going to see him bleed, and see this woman, after careful thought, take up the dagger and cut him short. Homage to Marat! generals and heads of state, and their heads are enormous.
Good old Marat, by your side, let's stand or fall. You're the only one that we can trust at all.
Don't scratch your scabs or you'll never get to be better.
4 years he fought, and he fought unafraid, sniffing down traitors, but traitors betrayed. Marat in the courtroom, Marat underground, sometimes the otter, and sometimes the hound, fighting all the gentry, and fighting every priest, businessmen, the bourgeois, the mountain released. Marat always ready to stifle every scheme of the sons of the axe, living, dying regime. We have generals, our leaders are new. They sit and they argue, and all that they do. They sell their own colleagues and ride up on their backs, and jail them, or break them, or give them all the axe. Screaming in language that no one understands. All the rats that we brought with our bleeding hands, as we wipe out the losses and storm through the wall of the prison. They told us we got left alone. Marat, we're poor, and the poor stay poor. Marat don't pay us wage anymore. We want our rights, and we don't care how. We want a revolution
The revolution came and went, and unrest was replaced with discontent.
Who controls the markets? Who locks up the granaries? Who got the loot from the palaces? Who sits tight on the estates that was going to be divided among the poor?
Who keeps us prisoners?
Who locks us in?
They're all noble and we want our freedom.
Monsieur de Sade, it appears I must act as the voice of reason. What's going to happen when, at the start of the play, the patients are so disturbed? Please, keep your production under control. Times have changed, times are different, and these days we should take an objective view to old grievances. They're part of history, and history, I might add, history is not simply the story of the undisciplined common people. Let us consider instead true history, the exemplary lives of the men who made France great.
Here sits Marat, the people's choice, dreaming and listening to his fever's voice. You see his hand curled round his pen, and the screams from the street are soon forgotten. He stares at the map of France, eyes marching from town to town. While you wait for this woman to cut him down, and none of us, do what we will, can alter the fact that she stands outside Marat's door, poised and ready to kill.
Poor Mara, in your bathtub, your body soaked, saturated with poison. Poison spurting from your hiding place, poisoning the people, arousing them to looting and murder, Mara. I have come, Charlotte Corday from Caen, where a huge army of liberation is massing. And Mara, I come as the first of them, Mara. Once both of us saw the world must go, and change as we read in great Rousseau. But change meant one thing to you, I see, and something quite different to
Simon, more cold water. Change my bandage. Oh, this itching is unbearable.
Jean-Paul, don't scratch yourself. You'll tear your skin to shreds. Give up writing, Jean-Paul. It won't do any good.
My call, my 14th of July call to the people of France.
Jean-Paul, please be more careful. Look how red the water's getting.
And what's a bath full of blood compared to the bloodbath still to come? Once we thought a few hundred corpses would be enough. Now we see thousands are still too few, and today we can't even count all the dead. Are there any of our enemies left anywhere? Everywhere you look, everywhere, there they are. Behind the walls, up on the rooftops, down in the cellars, hypocrites. They wear the people's cap on their heads, but their underwear is embroidered with crowns. And if so much as a shop gets looted, they squeal. Beggars, villains, gutter rats! Simon, my head is on fire. There's a rioting mob inside me. I can't breathe. Simon, I am the revolution.
Corday's first visit.
I have come to speak to Citizen Marat. I have an important message for him about the situation in Caen. My
it's happening and you can't stop it happening. The people used to suffer everything. Now they take their revenge. You are watching that revenge and you don't remember that you drove the people to it? Now you protest, but it's too late to start crying over spilled blood. What is the blood of these aristocrats compared to the blood of the people shed for you? Many of them had their throats slit by your gangs. Many of them died more slowly in your workshops. So what is this sacrifice compared to the sacrifice that people made to keep you fat? What are a few looted mansions compared to their looted lives? You don't care if the foreign armies with whom you're making secret deals march in and massacre the people. You hope they'll be wiped out so that you can flourish, and when they are wiped out, not a muscle will twitch on your puffy, bourgeois faces, which are now all twisted up in anger and disgust.
Monsieur de Sade, we can't allow this. You really cannot call this education. This isn't making my patients any better. They're all becoming overexcited. After all, we invited the public to show them our patients are not all social lepers.
We only show these people massacred because this indisputably occurred. Please, calmly watch these barbarous displays, as this could not happen nowadays. The men of that time, mostly now demised, were primitive. We are more civilized. The execution of the aristocrats.
Look at them, Marat. These men who once owned everything. Now that their pleasures have been taken away, the guillotine saves endless boredom. Yet they offer their heads as if coronation. Is not that the pinnacle of perversion?
Concerning life and death.
I read in one of your books, Sade, in one of your immortal works, that the animating force of nature is destruction, and that our only instrument for measuring life is death.
Correct, Marat. But man has given a false importance to death. Any animal, plant, or man who dies adds to nature's compost heap, becomes the manure, without which nothing could grow, nothing could be created. Death is simply part of the process. Every death, even the cruelest death, drowned in the total indifference of nature. Nature herself would watch unmoved if we destroyed the entire human race. I hate nature, this passionless spectator, this unbreakable iceberg face that can bear everything. This goads us to greater and greater acts. But though I hate this goddess, I see that the greatest acts in history have followed her laws. Nature teaches a man to fight for his own happiness. And if he must kill to gain that happiness, why, then the murder is natural. Haven't we always beaten down those weaker than ourselves? Haven't we torn at the throats of the powerful with continuous villainy and lust? Haven't we experimented in our laboratories before applying a final solution? Man is a destroyer. But if he kills and takes no pleasure in it, he's a machine. He should destroy with passion like a man. Let me remind you of the execution of Damien after his unsuccessful attempt to assassinate Louis XV. Remember how Damien died? How gentle the guillotine is compared with his torture? It lasted 4 hours, while the crowd goggled, and Casanova at an upper window felt under the skirts of the the ladies watching. His chest, arms, thighs, and calves were slit open. Molten lead was poured into each slit. Boiling oil they poured over him, burning tar, wax, sulfur. They burnt up his hands, tied ropes to his arms and legs, harnessed 4 horses to him, and guyed them up. They pulled at him for an hour, but they'd never done it before, and he wouldn't come apart until they saw through his shoulders and hips. And so he lost the first arm, and then the second. And he watched what they did to him, and then he turned to us and shouted so everyone could understand. And when he lost the first leg, and then the second, he still lived, though his voice was getting weak. And in the end, he hung there, a bloody torso with a nodding head. Just gross, hairy professor was holding up to him. That was a festival with which today's festivals can't compete. Even our own Inquisition gives us no pleasure nowadays. Although we've only just started, there's no passion in our post-revolutionary murders. Now they are official. We condemn to death without emotion, and there's no personal, singular death to be had. Only an anonymous, cheapened death which we could dole out to entire nations on a mathematical basis until the time comes for all life to be extinguished.
Citizen Marquis, you may sit as a judge on our tribunals, and you may have fought for us last September when we dragged out of the jails the aristocrats who plotted against us. But you still talk like a grand seigneur, and what you call the indifference of nature is your own lack of compassion.
Compassion, Marat, is the property of the privileged classes. When the giver bends to the beggar, he throbs with contempt. To protect his riches, he pretends to be moved. And the gift to the beggar amounts to no more than a kick. No, Marat. No small emotions, please. Your feelings were never petty. For you, just as for me, only the most extreme actions matter.
If I am extreme, I am not extreme in the same way as you. Against nature's silence, I use action. In the vast indifference, I invent meaning. I don't walk. Unmoved, I intervene, and I say that this and this are wrong, and I were to prove them and prove them. The important thing is to pull yourself up by your own hair, to turn yourself inside out, and to see the whole world with fresh eyes.
Marat's liturgy.
Remember how it used to be? The kings were our dear fathers under whose care we lived in peace, and their deeds were glorified by official poets. Piously, the simple-minded breadwinners passed on the lesson to their children.
The kings are our dear fathers.